Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to the hopeful elect. This is your brother Dawada from the Men of Valor campaign, Greenville, South Carolina, coming back with another video in sincerity and in truth. Lord willing, it can be edifying. All right, I don't want to make this too long. I actually did a iteration of this video this morning. But for whatever reason, it only saved the last minute, 30 seconds or whatever. But nonetheless, the message is the same. I was speaking on this whole America was doing, running these simulations on, a mass mobilization, AKA a military draft, and I'm not completely sure if they were testing to see people's reaction to it or just seeing how it works. All right, but either way, this is the topic at hand. And this all comes off the back of the fact that, the Israeli military has now officially merged with the American military. All right, not just giving aid, and being allies, but now they've merged it together. And how does this play out in biblical prophecy? Because we know the scriptures say that the least of the flock shall draw them out, And we've come to know these tiny tots to be the least of the flock. But now they've tethered themselves to the biggest military presence in the beast system, right? So we've talked about troops on the ground in America, against American citizens. Well, through the spirit, I could see them sending off you Americans to go fight, Iran and over in the Levant region, and they're going to send the Israeli military is going to be sent over here, but still, tethered to the American military, but they're going to get sent over here. All right. And same way they treat the Palestinians, over there in that land, they're about to treat you tribes the same way over here. Really all you people, they all call you goy and shit. And now they have the power. They're going to have the power to kill on American soil, man. I see that happening through the spirit. And that's why I have 2nd Esdras, the 15th chapter pulled up right here. Because, the Lord is setting everything up for there to be sedition among men, invading one another. I was watching a video on the whole correspondence dinner last night, and, the emperor has no clothes. All right, if you don't know what that means, check that out, look it up. But basically, it's meaning that he's naked. He's pretty much been found out. He's the butt of the joke now, because Trump was sitting there yapping, and nobody was laughing at his jokes. He looks incompetent, he's not being direct about this war, right? He's surrounded himself around a bunch of yes men and fired anybody that has opposed his authority or his strategy. And he's tethered himself to Bibi, right? So it's a lot going on. And, best believe the average American, although they're distracting themselves with, bread and circus, and with the, trying to stay neutral on the matter, eventually it's going to come to a head. All right. When you're dealing with higher gas prices, when you're dealing with shortages of things, and price spikes on goods, then these people are going to look at Trump directly and be like, it's this nigga fault. And he also announced yesterday he's running for a 4th term. Because in his mind, he believes he won that 2020 election. All right, he believes Joe Biden was illegitimate as the president in that 2020 election. All right, but he's announcing that he's about to go again, and that's against the Constitution, really. Not the Constitution, but I'm pretty sure FDR, I think he made the amendment or something like that to where, the terms are limited. I believe he served 4 presidencies, and then after that, he pretty much cut it down. All right, but Trump sees himself as the king, as the emperor, as the supreme ruler of America. All right, so he still has to navigate these, Congress and the skeleton judicial system and the skeleton, structure that the so-called founding fathers built this place on. This is a new America right here, And who is this going to piss off the most? It's going to piss off the Americans, all right, the Edomite Americans, who truly believe that this is their land and now it's being occupied by the damn Israelis, man. All right, them tiny tops. How about that? And they're gonna put in legislation that if you talk about these tiny tops, you know, hey, you're gonna be called an anti-sim. You know, you're gonna be persecuted. You know, hey, this is going down, man. The Lord is setting this thing up, you know, for the shit to hit the fan everywhere, not just in the Levant region, but over here in America too. All right, if you ever watched that movie Civil War, all right, we don't know exactly how it's about to play out, but man, hey, eventually these people they're gonna start pushing back. So I want to play this video right here, and you'll see what I'm saying, and then we're gonna get, you know, scriptures, you know, prophetic scriptures, same scriptures we've been bringing out, all right, because they're speaking.
This is going to be a major problem. I seen it coming from a mile away. I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner, that the United States would merge with Israel military, but it happened. I seen it when American citizens was supporting what was going on in Gaza, how Israel was mistreating them folks, and how Bibi used to get in front of the camera and he used to toot his nose up and point his fingers at American citizens like he actually run this fucking country. Like when they was on them college campuses and them college kids was out there protesting and all that shit was going on. And if you said anything about that shit over there, them kids was getting expelled, kicked out of fucking school because of their opinion.
Hell,
And I
the
seen
head of the main judge or whatever in the what's the shit called? It's leaving my mind right now, but the international court. All right, I believe that the main judge then got removed, man. That shows you the power of these tiny tots, man. And see, the mask is slipping because they've been able to play the victim so long, you know, and you Americans, you know, that's over the age of like 30, 35, 40, you know, you all believe that they're our greatest ally, you know, that they have the right to defend themselves. And, you know, you've been complicit in their rise. And now they've taken your country. Now what you gonna do? Because you can't blame this on Jake. You can't blame this on niggas, man. Niggas ain't come in and occupy your country. Okay? They did this shit through legislation. They used your own, you know, how you've been moving in the earth, they use that shit against you, man. At the highest level. They didn't cut you out your own blessing. All right, they got AI all in the military and shit, man. They about to see-hip you damn people. All right, you Americans, you done lost. The tiny top, all right, the head tribe of Edom, Amalek, is about to drag you to the pit of hell. All right, and that's not a physical place where you go and burn to all eternity. All right, it's gonna be the grave, man. The end of your rulership, because you've been in heaven. You've been on top. You've been able to kill Jake and get away with it. You've been able to bask in your privilege, and it's all being taken away. And the catalyst for it to be taken away is your own people, the most evil of your people. You know, because Amalek is he a special demon. You know.
that. Or when he stood in front of all the U.S. leaders and was talking shit about, you know what I'm saying, the citizens, and he get a standing ovation. A standing ovation. The only motherfucker from another country that can come in this bitch with crimes on him as a war criminal and can walk the fucking streets and go inside of these fucking places and say what he want to say. So if you didn't see it coming, there's something seriously wrong with you. They writing the play right in front of your eyes, so you can't say
That's
you don't know what's
That's
happening.
Babylon.
See, but this gonna be the problem. That motherfucking war over there is serious. U.S. forces will be over there fighting. A lot of them motherfuckers gonna be over here in this country, especially if the midterms don't turn out the way, you know what I'm saying, a lot of folks expect it to be. And when y'all have these big no king rallies and all this shit here, oh, it's gonna be some different type of folks in them facing y'all. And the only way you gonna know they different is when they speak. They gonna have their billy cubs, their bear spray, they
They
all
about to
of
put
that.
hell on Jake, man. All right, these damn tiny tots, man. They do not fuck with you at all, whatsoever. Hold on. You know hey, you see the comments? They're saying like, hey, they didn't came out and said one of the biggest issues they're facing is the black American youth, man. Just wait till they have a reason to come over here, man. They about to clean you YN niggas out, man. All right, and you Jakes, you're not hip to the fact that these ain't the regular devils, man. These are these damn tiny tots, man. If you seen any of those videos of them harassing Palestinians and shit, man, you'll know. All right, they get down dirty over there, man, cause they not in America. You know, they bask in this special type of privilege. Let's continue on.
I'm telling y'all, man, this shit is about to get wild, man. The writing is on the wall. There ain't no turning back. Nobody ain't just telling y'all this shit just to tell y'all. You can see this. They could have merged these 2 years ago, since they their most trusted allies. Why this year? Wait till they open up the draft. It's a lot of things is in play. 2026 is one for the books, but 2027 is going to be survival mode. That's what I'm telling you. Curfews, a lot of angry people with fangs out their mouth, out in them streets. Boy, it's going to be wild. Better stack while you can. Better get everything while you can get it. Because you're going to have more worse days than better days. I can promise you this. Y'all stay up out there. Get it out the mud.
And to this guy right here, Gary Miller, all right? Yeah, you say all that, man. All right, you an Israelite. Repent. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you know, y'all want to pop out and pay attention to prophecy when it's popping like popcorn. But where your ass is at when the apostles been out here for years and decades. All right, you guys ain't about to just come out here and jump to the front of the line like you always knew what was up, man. You know? Because, hey, what you gonna do? This is judgment from on high. This is judgment from Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, man. He's sending the sword. He created Esau to be the sword, to be the ultimate devil. And that's what he's coming down here to do. You know? I'm talking about these damn tiny tots, man. They coming to America like like Hakeem right now. You know? Man. But nonetheless, you know, he did say a lot of truth. You know, and stuff like this gets out. All right, but there's no going around the prophets, man. You know, that's just the reality. The prophets of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua have been saying this was going to happen. You know, that's why the Lord said, "What I sent forth the apostles last as it was appointed unto death," man. All right, the Lord is going to give His men that praise and fame in every land that they were put to shame. He's saying through the Spirit, and I agree with him. 2027 is about to be survival mode for you damn people, man. All right, from the war to losing your jobs to AR to your money not being able to buy what it needs to buy. You know, they saying the U.S. dollar has lost a third of its buying power in the last 5-6 years alone. All the mighty dollar that you people have coveted for, you know, you go and get degrees for, you snake people out, slime people out for, do wickedness for, it's losing its value, and they're switching over to a new system. All right, but let's get this right here. All right, 2 Ezra chapter 15 and verse 14, it says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein." Right, this is coming upon the planet, man. And it's coming upon the world of Israel. It's coming about, the Lord is about to do his big one, as they say. Verse 15, "For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh." All right, there's a lot of talk about, you know, violence and stuff. The modern day sword is the gun. It says, "And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands." Again, the modern day sword is the gun. "For there shall be sedition among men." All right, sedition against the government. Okay, you're going to have militias coming up against the government. Watch that movie Civil War. "And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." We're about to see a whole different landscape, man. All right, we're about to see new social dynamics. All right, a real, what they say, dog eat dog, man. But the Lord is going to preserve his elect. He warned us of these things that were going to come. Verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. All right, you're going to have military checkpoints, man, when society fully breaks down. You know, you got family in another city, you ain't going to be able to get to them immediately. They're going to close these highways and shit down. For because of their pride, this is why this is happening. The pride. And we see it on you people's faces, man. It says, because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. And if the men are going to be afraid, how much more the women who've been able to reap the benefits of a world that men has built and protected them from any dangers, you know, protected you from accountability for decades now. You're about to, hey, you got to cash that check, man. You got to pay that tab. It says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. There's going to be famines out here. All right. The supply chain is going to break down. You people going to have to fend for yourself. You ain't going to have nowhere to buy, use your food stamp card at. All right. When there's no food coming in on those trucks to those Walmarts and Kroger's and Publix and Harris Teeter and Food Lion. When the system fails you, the vintage fails. That's why the scriptures say specifically, rise up ye women that are at ease. You're most vulnerable. And you've been the one talking the most shit, man. All right. Everybody's faith about to get put to the test. All right. They got AI now. They know where the hell you at, man. So, hey, where's your faith going to be in that day? Our faith is going to be in Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, man. And again, that draft is coming. Young men, you know, your young men about to fall in the wars, man. The virgins about to mourn, and the wives are gonna mourn. They ain't gonna have no men to marry. This was all written, and it's all coming to pass, man. The words of the Lord are faithful and true. So I just wanted to bring that out through the Spirit. You know, Lord willing, this was edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh B'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, B'Hashem, B'Kakodash, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to the hopeful elect. Till next time, Shalom.